This computer. Welcome back to the Mind Masters Mental Health and Mindset podcast. I'm a wee bit excited. I've got a woman that I've been desperate to get a chat with for a long, long time. And I know there's a lot of people going to tune into this episode because you're awful excited to hear this conversation as well. So I'll make up the back dancer role,
Oh,
and she's going to be the absolute main attraction.
there you
This
go.
one, the problem will be stopping the two of us talking. I've got a
Aye.
feeling. But today I'm welcomed by Lorna Dougan. We were just chatting before we come on, so I'm conscious of how I'm going to introduce this, but most people will know Lorna's work through the Mind Positive brand. I
Yeah.
say, but we're gonna delve into that a wee bit more. I know her as Lorna. Um, she's doing unbelievable work out there, which we're gonna touch on. Um, and of course, at the end, I'll make sure that we sort of, if you don't know where Lorna's work is, you'll be able to find Lorna, follow her stuff. And I also was just saying there, I was back on her page there just before we come on. I was doing the burrow, watching hundreds and hundreds of videos,
Oh,
getting my wisdom. So, but we'll get into all of that. We're going to talk a little bit about the backstory, the journey, some stuff, some lessons that Lorna's brought into 2026 in particular. I think people are going to find really interesting. But without further ado, Lorna, we're finally doing it.
no, I've been waiting for this for a very long time. Thank you very much for inviting me on. I was just saying there, wasn't I, that I say no to most, like literally most things. So when I heard, well, I seen your text coming in, I was like, aye, I'd like to do that. So thank
I
you
caught I
very
caught you
much.
at the right time.
Yeah, I did. No, I really do want to have a conversation with you. I'm interested and also, what you've got to say about whatever I'm going to be
Yeah.
answering for you. I'm interested in that, but just what you're putting out, Kevin, and the good work that you're doing for people is very inspirational, and you seem to be meeting the needs of many, many. So. Returned back to you. Thank you for what you're doing, and you equally inspire me too. So, aye, it's good. It's good.
Brilliant. I mean, nothing like a nice bit of mutual gratitude to each other to get this going. And I really appreciate that.
Well, you're a
So
co-winning boy, aren't you? So,
I'm
we're
a
all
Conan
co-winning
boy.
originally. And I,
Aye. So it's funny, I put out a wee teaser. I thought a good place to start. I put a wee teaser that I was having you on the podcast. And what jumped out straight away was just the amount of women who were straight away on it going, love Lorna, can't wait for this, can't wait for this. I thought we would just kick right off, go right in there and go, what do you think that's about?
oh, Jesus Christ. I think I speak the truth.
Hmm.
I think that I'm probably saying the things that many people um, don't want to speak out loud for fear of being rejected or judged or put down or whatever. So I think I'm probably saying what many people are thinking. And I do it unapologetically, as you've probably worked out. But that comes from a very lived experience place. So I feel I've earned the right to do so. I'm not coming, and when I'm speaking online and people are kind of like, I don't know, welcoming what I'm saying, I'm not speaking from my own, I suppose, trauma as in I'm coming from my trauma. I'm coming from growth. I'm coming out the other side of it and helping people to stop questioning themselves. So I think what you're seeing maybe, and it's a strange question to be asked because that makes it sound as if I've got these folk that are sort of fans and shit like that. It's just I think people are probably appreciating what I'm saying because there's lots of pressures on people to be good, to be
Yes.
nice, kind. And I'm saying what's really going on. And I think it could be round about that kind of stuff. I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, and as a guy, I want to talk about this. I know I've got a lot of guys, certainly just through my fitters or dads and different things that will absolutely watch or listen to this podcast when they're out walking, running, and different things like that. And I want to tell them directly, as a man, I resonate massively with your content. especially when we go into the things around, manipulation and things like that you talk about, and you talk about so authentically, and like you say, you're coming from I feel the growth there, that you're coming from a place where you're not still drowning in the shit.
No,
You're
no,
saying, look, I'm here, but I've got a hand out to you. You
yeah,
don't need to stay there. And when
yeah,
some of the stuff that I watch and consume from you, it sort of gives you hope that what you're feeling's okay, but
yeah.
that's not where you need to stay, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of like validation coming out from the language that I'm using. I'm putting language on people's experiences, because those were my experiences. I mean, there's nothing that you're hearing online that I have not lived, by the way. That is the
Mhm.
truth, right? So people are probably getting to understand that. There's nothing that is, I've read it out of a textbook. Of course, I've had to learn the language of it, but there is nothing that I can speak that I haven't gone through. So, yeah, sorry, I completely forgot your question. Ask me again.
No, so I think it was a bit about what I was saying is, even as a man, I resonate with the message, I
Oh,
resonate with the
aye.
content, and you were saying like that we were initially asking why it appeals to people, and you were saying about the truth and stuff, and I'm
Mhm.
saying, even as a guy, this isn't just a female thing. This is a guy. I
Of course
resonate
it is, aye.
massively with some of the stuff around. When we talk about family members, we talk about manipulation, we talk about this stuff. This does not discriminate, this stuff.
Oh, God, no, it's, abuse is abuse. It's, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, abusive dynamics, abusive family members, dysfunctional friends, relationships, intimate relationships, workplaces. It's everywhere. And my client base is very itchy peachy from males to females.
Hmm.
The males won't tend to comment though on my page. And, and there's a lot of people watching my page but not commenting.
Yeah,
Totally fine.
yeah.
Respect that
Yeah.
hugely. But you're absolutely right. This does not discriminate. This is across the board stuff. So yeah, I think it's suitable for all, and I think it's important that we do talk about these types of dynamics
Hmm.
because of the damage and the harm that these types of behaviours cost us, how they impact us,
Hmm.
as for our identity and our sense of self, and yeah, how we feel. See, and you probably work with these people too. I'm sure you'll see like people coming to see you and they're struggling because of a relationship breakdown, or they're struggling to get their head around something and they don't know how to navigate that. And I realised that when I first started my practice, was to realise. I mean, it started off very generally. Kind of have to earn your stripes, don't you? When you kind
Yeah.
of the gates out the wrapper, and was working generally at first, but then I realised actually, do you know what? A lot of my work, somebody was coming in with depression, somebody was coming with anxiety. It's because there was somebody around about them was an absolute arsehole, that wasn't taking accountability, and was treating them like shite. So this person was trying to make it work and trying to, fix it and trying to rescue it, or was suppressing and staying small and stuff. And I realised that actually, no, sod this, Lorna, just come out the gates and actually just make it clear that that is actually the sort of client that I really want to work with,
Hmm.
in truth, rather than working generally. But yeah, so it impacts all areas. Everybody will be touched by somebody that is harmful to them. It's worse, I think. It's harder, should I say, when it's the people that should be safe,
Yeah.
which is family,
Yeah.
people that should love you unconditionally and be there for you. But my whole day, like my every client today has been family dynamics. Every single client today has been family breakdowns, fractures, no way forward,
Hmm.
it's sad. It's deep work that you're doing with this stuff.
What's at the core of, Lorna? What's at the core of your work for you when you've got a quite strong identity around that whole, the people in the life
Aye.
that causing the damage and stuff. So, what's at the core of the work that? What do you think the sort of core of what you're trying to help that person do?
Oh, I could put that in a nutshell. Stop doubting yourself. If it feels off, it's off. If you're
Yeah.
feeling confused, there's something wrong. It
Yeah.
really is simple. It's helping people to obviously create more safety from within. connect to their instincts again, listen to themselves. Because when you're around these types of people, they will gaslight you. And I don't say that word lightly. Real gaslighting is somebody that is denying and lying and making you question what has just happened. They're saying it didn't happen, it has happened. This is somebody, and it's not just one time. We've all done that. No, it didn't. This is concerted patterns of behaviour.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, my job predominantly is to help people, stop questioning themselves and listen to yourself, trust yourself, building trust from within, feeling safe from within, which is obviously emotional regulation work, trauma, informed therapy, etc. But then building an identity, like actually becoming who it is that you actually are, not who they say you should be or not who you think you should be, to keep them comfortable or to keep them connected to you. Because if somebody needs you to be something for them and they don't like it if you wanted to do something whatever for yourself, then that is a fuck off red flag. You know, you've got somebody really unsafe round about you that doesn't want what's best for you, you know. So I see that all the time, all the time.
And is this something that you see as a much bigger problem out there for people than the maybe like what we realise at the everyday? Yeah.
Yeah, I really, really do. I mean, latest research I was reading there, literally the other day, they're talking about 1 in 9 people in the UK. If you look at, you know, the UK population and you start to distill it down into dark traits. So dark traits is somebody that is narcissistic. So that's somebody that's sense of superiority. They can be quite covert.
Yeah.
They lie, they deny, they gaslight, they'll triangulate. It's somebody that has no empathy. It's somebody that doesn't care.
Yeah.
It's somebody that has to be right and you're wrong, and they will hold the line on that. You know, they'll be dismissive, they will not be accountable, they'll definitely not have self-reflection, and they'll exploit people, using people to get what they need for themselves, and think twice about it. So if you think about that, that's just a bit of a rumble round of what dark traits are. I mean, I make that just slide off my tongue, but to be exposed to that, right? You will have met somebody at your work that has behaved like that. You will
Yeah.
know somebody like that. There'll be somebody in your, round about you that has
Yeah.
that. That's 1 in 9 people, right?
Yeah.
Does that impact our quality of life? Yes. Does that make us, stay small? Do we lessen ourselves to be around those people so that we keep the peace and we don't set them off? Yes. Does that mean that we start to become anxious and walk on eggshells? Yes. Does that mean that you can feel depressed around them? Do you feel unsafe? Fucking yeah, because you're in fight or flight, and then you become depressed, then you can become suicidal at worst case, which is also something that I see all the time. So dark traits, narcissistic people, and people use the phrase like it rolls off the tongue, to be around a narcissistic type of person, that will change you, and I mean that will change you, because the harm these people do is so insight, it's that covert, it's that under the radar, and people think toxic people or narcissistic people, which are abusive, they think that those types of people are out there, they're loud, they're shouty, they're show-offy, or they're these big show, like kind of charismatic. The type of people that I'm helping, so the lovely people I help, because the lovely people I help are lovely, intuitive people. They were intuitive, they did have lovely instincts. Their perception of what was happening was damn right. They're around these bloody dark people, they'll take you down, they'll take them out, So this isn't a subject that is light or fluffy and it's got
No.
depth to it. But I think every single client I work with that I know they have been around a narcissistic person, or a site, you'll even have somebody that's got like sort of Machiavellianism. They're very sort of like, they'll do what it takes. They use people as pawns and players. They have a bit of self-reflection. Narcissistic person doesn't have self-reflection. They're all about their ego and how they look, but they'll pretend they have it to get away with their shite behaviour. But then you'll have somebody that's like kind of got psychopathy of like evil traits. They fucking do not give a shit. They will lie and use people to cause harm. They'll do it strategically, whereas a narcissistic person isn't that clever. They kind of do things in the moment, whereas somebody that's psychopathic, which isn't a murderer, which isn't a criminal, by the way, as such, it's going to be your wee granny down the road with the twin set of pearls, and she's fucking demonic behind the door. But to outside, she's fucking baking cakes, and stroking her little pussycat, and she's lovely, but she's vile. So this is really happening in the world.
Do see what you're saying? I suddenly went, there's a fucking league table to this stuff, right?
Oh, yes.
So if you go into social media today, anywhere, you'll find a meme or something about narcissists or this or that or this. But what you're describing is you're just every day, somebody's been a bit of a dick today. Is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about deep
Oh,
state stuff. The people who, there's another layer that what you're getting exposed to, and obviously what you've lived through. So there's another layer to this, and it's almost like the general population probably actually don't know when they go, he or she's a narcissist. Well, no,
no, just an
you've no,
arse.
you have no idea what we're talking about here. They're
No,
just they're just being a bit of a they're having a really bad day today.
that's right. That's right. I mean, I look at it in three ways. I mean, I've had to do this because
Yeah,
when you wake up, right, to the truth, because the truth does set you free. They say that. I
yeah,
don't think it's true, and the truth um, helps you heal, even though it's absolutely foul. You have to start like believing that evil exists in the world, right? Bad is here, bad is bad, it's there, it's a thing, right? I didn't used to think that, right? I used to project my head onto everybody, thought that everybody was like good at heart and like wanted what was best and all that, was happy for your happiness and sad for your sadness and shit like
yeah,
that. Everybody was the same. They're not.
yeah,
There is evil. And there is fucking evil and there is good, right? So we have to believe both are true. And the way I see it is when you're, so then you recognize patterns when you wake up to this, and then it's not easy to wake up. That's like self-awareness, and everybody makes self-awareness sound like it's fucking lush and you're on the top of a mountain and I'm taking a selfie. Look at me, I'm free, I'm self-aware.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
fuck, right off. It's real self-awareness is really sore. Oh,
Yeah,
it's really sore. You've grieved, you have hurt, you have been pained, you have like had to dismantle all sorts of beliefs and stories and systems in your head and fucking let them go and break them down and start again. So then you recognize patterns by this point. You know evil exists, so you know what it looks like, you know what it sounds like, you know what it fucking is. You feel it in your nervous system because you've now listened to your instincts. So I break it down into three. I go, right, okay. So the person round about me that is doing my tits right in at the moment, are they immature? Or are they malevolent? Are they purposely, intentionally harming me right now? Or is this their trauma? You know? And
uh,
each one, you can give them a different sort of like understanding. The malevolent one, because of my discernment now. And that's what I'm teaching clients that, by the way, because the discernment comes from the patterns and the learning, and it's connected to your cellular. I fucking know what this is. You can quickly pivot and move away, and we don't cause a fight. We go nice and quietly, right? Because you
yeah,
don't ego. But the other two, people with trauma, you have trauma, I've got trauma,
yeah,
I've got a childhood. Why do you think I do what I do?
yeah,
Not saying that my childhood actually was the reason why I woke up to this stuff. My childhood probably set me up for it because I had learned to be a people pleaser and a phoner, and I froze a
yeah,
lot and I silenced my voice a lot. I mean, look
yeah,
at me, I don't shut up. And I'd learned to be hyper independent and ask for help. I wanted to be successful, actually. So my childhood set me up to enter into the arena of being absolutely exploited and absolutely like emotionally raped by these type of people, and not to recognise that they were, definitely manipulative and doing what they did. So, it's quite the subject you've opened yourself up to today, Kevin, but it walks amongst you. It's there.
it's unbelievable just as you describe it all and the depths of it, and it
Mhm.
makes me think a lot. I talk a lot, but even like the subject mental health and stuff like that, and you say, well, it's so widely used and it's so widely thrown about and things, and I think of some of the things that you will highlight, and I think when people maybe watch it, some they maybe go, yeah, I know people like that. Well, no, what you're saying is No, maybe you're seeing little bits of traits of that, but there's so much more,
Yeah. The
so much
malevolence,
more
the
to
malevolence is the
this.
bit. Yeah, 100%. The person that there is definitely an intent, for the people that are doing this sort of
Yeah,
real long-term damage and harm to people. They absolutely know what they're doing, and they know what they're doing is wrong. And you know that there's a really simple answer to that, is because why do they behave differently around other people? Why do they twist the story? Why do they lie? If you've nothing to lie about, or if things aren't happening, then you wouldn't have to behave in a completely opposite different way. So people definitely know what they're doing, but in terms of, you're right, there's definitely like a sliding scale, I think,
yes, yes,
this type of behaviour. I think trauma and immaturity will definitely be coming into the mix. If you look
yeah,
at the trauma one, the defence mechanism, the protective mechanisms, your fight, flight, freeze, fawn sort of survival patterns that are going to be, ignited when your brain and body perceives yourself to be in some emotional threat or physical threat. Your body will then, trigger off something that's not been processed from the past. Now, that is somebody's trauma. And that trauma can hurt somebody. You're not immune to that. I'm not. We've probably kicked off at times. Oh, for fuck's sake, what are you doing? Because you felt controlled, for example, or you didn't feel seen, or you didn't feel heard. And that'll be your trauma you're coming from. The difference with the person with the trauma, as in this type of sort of piece I'm talking about, is a healthy person. Once they've regulated, they'll come back into the room and say, "I'm really sorry." Like, I'm really sorry. I was out of order there, and we attempt to, we work hard. We don't change overnight, by the way, right? We take it bit by bit, and we address this behaviour of ours. I have got forgiveness for that all day long, right? No bother. I understand that. I don't have any understanding for somebody who does have those mechanisms and chooses to use that as the reason not to change.
yes,
Oh, I've had a terrible thing. I've had a terrible. So I can, no, 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 no,
no,
no, no, no, no, no. You're responsible for your behaviour. You're an adult. You will adult. So we're not going to accept this, because that means that you're
yes.
hopeless and helpless, and that means that you are now saying that you're a victim, and I'm not accepting. Especially when you're hurting somebody. Sorry, people will have gone through some dreadful, dreadful, dreadful things, right? But if they're saying, well, that's why I behave in the way that I behave, and it is hurting somebody, oh, I've got a problem with that. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I do. What do you think? Something that I'm interested in, because I'm interested in if it's a kind of one of the thing I'm really interested in. What's the thing that tips the scales in terms of someone who decides that enough is enough, change is required? I'm engrossed with the subject of when someone makes a decision to do something about the situation that they are not no longer happy with,
Mhm.
because I find you're I don't want to start using the fucking word niche, but I want to, you know
Yes.
what I mean? So the people that you work with are living with things that they get to a point where, right, I have to do something about this. But when I think of what you do, Lorna, for that person that makes that decision, it probably comes with a great deal of risk to the person,
Of course it
and it
does.
sometimes, doesn't it?
I mean, it's not an average person coming down from Dundee, because, and she's like, didn't want to sign in and stuff in case somebody, knew she was here.
Yeah,
You get that kind of thing, it's very much, or, yeah, people feel very guilty also about coming and seeing me. They're riddled with guilt. They feel like they're doing something wrong because they're talking about their mum or their
yeah,
dad or their
yes,
sibling. Sibling abuse is absolutely mad. I feel as if I'm getting a trail of that just now. But sibling abuse, they feel really guilty about talking about my parent this way. You might think I'm bad for saying this, Lorna. And I'm like, no, I fucking won't. You just crack on, and this is the space for you to
yeah,
ventilate
yeah,
your truth. The truth has to exist within, So yeah, you're right. People do feel ashamed about reaching out for help, especially when it's family.
yeah,
I suppose people, when it's their intimate relationship, that seems to be, I don't know, easier to come through a door like mine. But you also notice people feel ashamed because it's their friend. you have a narcissistic friend. You know, you can have a really narcissistic, coercive person that is causing fucking chaos in your life, and you didn't know it until you know it. And those people can come in my room as if, oh, you know, embarrassed that it's my friend, you know, but the person's sitting there quivering like with bloody PTSD symptoms, believe you me. And I do believe that is, if I'm really honest with you, like really honest, I see PTSD symptoms in my room every day, because when you're exposed to that psychological,
Yep.
emotional abuse, coercive
Yep.
control dynamics, well, your nervous system is absolutely, you know, it's scared. It's really afraid. So the person, and because the body knows it, right? The
Yep.
body has the answer. This
Yep.
person isn't safe. This person isn't safe. But the head's going, aye, but that's your mum. Aye, but that's your sister. Aye, but that's your daddy. So you're up here's going. So it's a wee bitch sometimes. Your prefrontal, because it's analysing it. It's going,
Yep.
oh no, but you can't, because like, oh then right, and then down here's going, get them to fuck. They're bad for me, you know. I couldn't really say this online, I know, but I'm doing it. But so, do you know? So this part's saying no, this part's saying, oh, come on, work it out. So this is where we have problems, and this is where like the work is to get involved with what your body's saying, because it's no wrong, it's never wrong, you know.
But it's an interesting one. Like, it's the level of decision that comes from the truth that you're setting someone free from.
Mm,
You are enabling someone to see right in front of them what potentially is the biggest decision they will ever make in their
mm,
life.
oh,
Which I'm thinking right now, which could be fucking walking away from, like you say, the what is meant to be the safest relationship in their life, but in
yeah,
actual fact is the most fucking abusive thing ever. So
yeah,
it's, you know, I'm imagining the courage that's involved with one coming in,
yeah,
saying it about that
yeah.
person that's supposed to keep them safe and love them,
Mm-hmm,
and then they then are faced with, holy shit,
mm-hmm,
this person needs to go.
mm-hmm. Hmm. Or where, I mean, there's no judgment from me either. If
Yeah,
you know, I don't decide what people do, and
yep,
absolutely, and I mean respect why people stay. I
yep,
absolutely understand why people stay. I understand why people don't want to leave the dynamic. I understand it. So it's about helping that person understand, firstly, what they've been living in. You know,
yes,
what they're living in. So giving them language really is a massive, if the way that I'm actually trained, if I suppose more importantly, I'm more down up, but I have to start up first. I have to
yes,
start up first. I have to educate. But once we're in a better place where that sort of understanding, I feel, or they also feel that they kind of accept that this is what we're in, we can start going down. But so yeah, yeah, you have to help people understand what they're living in, and you have to start breaking down, you know, those stories, those beliefs, what it is that they believe to be true about family, about what is it that's getting in the way of them actually listening to down in here. And it's a lot of it's guilt, a lot of it's
yep,
shame, a lot of it's conditional, you know, society conditioning
yep,
of family is everything, or friends should be in your life forever, or you know, don't rock the boat, or be kind, or be the bigger person. It's all this stuff that we've absolutely had rammed down us since children. And then you're getting to the person, to helping them get into this real place of acceptance, of course. And then the next bit is where you're heavily getting into identity work, really heavily getting into identity rebuild stuff. So there's a lot, look at that though, the belief systems, the stories, the lack of regulation in the body, dysregulated systems, understanding your system, understanding what's going on. So there's a shitload of change in that, and then you're also helping them, guide them towards value based, who you are at the core, and living it,
yep,
holding yourself accountable, and building an identity about who they are, but also with utter kindness, but with utter directness for me as well. You're getting held accountable too, as much as you're processing some of the deepest, darkest wounds. And I mean that because I'm in it every day. It's like I'm marinated and I'm like, holy fuck, I cannot believe I'm hearing this again. I'm also holding them accountable Because if they've got this learning and they're becoming awake and they're becoming connected and all that, well then guys, you have to behave better then, right? You cannot be talking this talk and not walking it. So there has to be this, whoa, wait a minute. You can't be doing that. Just because, you're hurting, your hurt's fucking valid. Your feelings are
Yeah.
so valid. Fucking right, you're angry. Damn right, you're angry. Good on you, you're angry, by the way. It's a good sign. But do not do what they do. You do not become them. You do not become bitter. You do not become vengeful. So I'm talking about there's a sort of step that I get into, that there's a definite constant, that is we apply what we know. So we're in the room saying, they're hurting me by, not self-reflecting, not being accountable, by continually dismissing me, silencing me, shutting me down, undermining. Right, so they're doing all that. So we can't be doing that, though, can we? So we have to apply what it is that we now know, so we don't like it, so why we cannot be that person either. So we have to be true to who we are as well. So you can see there's this like starter, what the fuck is happening to me? So there's a real sort of that piece of validation and understanding of what you're in. And then we're moving through and learning about yourself and looking inward, which is that self-reflection of beliefs and systems and stories and all that guff that we're running because he said it and that means I have to do it and shit like that. Then we get into that acceptance of what the hell we're in, accepting ourselves, utter compassion for the parts of us that also too can be abusive, also too can be harmful, also too can be reactive and can be damaging to others. We have to have compassion for all parts of us. And then we're starting to, look at our identity as we go through this. And we'll go in and out of this. But a big part of it is definitely helping people regulate their dysregulated nervous system because they've been so like out of touch with this here and too busy trying to stay like afloat and attached here, if that makes sense.
I love what you've just explained because even for me, who likes to think I understand the therapeutic sort of approaches and stuff, even for me, that just allowed me to step back there and go, well, there's a little bit of an assumption made there, and I guess a lot of people will make that by going, well, what she's doing is she's focusing on the pain and the the be fucking pissed off and
Oh
don't
no.
put in actual fact what you're doing is you're trying to get people to really, really explore that identity of who they actually
Right.
are, and what actually no longer serves them. It's not just about the pain, it's also about how are you going to find the pleasure again? How are you going to
100%.
find yourself?
That's it. And we focus an awful lot on the hurtful, the harmful people.
Yeah,
And that's right, that we must have to
yep,
understand them and
yep,
understand what their behaviours are and what they look like. All that stuff. It's very important. But it's more important for us to find ourselves here because there's a reason why we've stayed too long or we've stayed silent or we've
yep.
floated down, we've not said what we wanted to say, we've said yes when we wanted to say no. Why are you doing that? What is it? Where have you learned this? And what's the purpose of you doing that? So we have to look at ourselves here as well. And because we have to move on. We have to look at a life to live here. And it does it changes? Yes. Do we carry a pocket of grief around with us? I say yes. I say yes continually because I think to know and to believe it to be true that good and evil exists,
Yep,
it's fucking sad, isn't it?
yep,
There's a fucking deep sadness
yep.
that's that people that you loved and cared for and genuinely loved them and you have in them and they don't want to change. They choose not to change. They've chosen to lie. They've chosen to deny. They have chosen to tell a story about you that is not true to protect themselves. That's sad. Oh, I think there's a real grief process going through this type of growth, you
I,
know.
I think, this is me, you're making me think about my own life now, and I think it's important that, I give a bit of it as well. I
Mm-hmm,
think as I listen to you, and I certainly all the time when I listen, is when I think through my life, and
mm-hmm,
you're probably similar, the biggest disappointments and the biggest sadness and, um, things like that comes, why does it come from the people closest to us? Why,
Mm.
why, why does it happen so much? Why is so many of the people that why is this, you know, I think, I think if we go far back enough in history, when people were in, close communities and tribes and all this kind of thing, where the fuck did we get it so wrong further down the line that everyone is so deeply hurting each other that they're closest to and letting each other down? And I think of the worst disappointments in my life, it's come from places it should never have come from.
Mhm. Can I give you what a kind of quick answer on that? Because there's
Yeah,
a shit load to that, isn't there? I'd say the quickest answer to that would be that people are not, let me phrase it properly, people are not comfortable with their emotions. There are far too many people walking around ignoring, their bodies, they've got dysregulated parts of them, and they allow them to dictate and to direct and make decisions, so, their emotions.
yeah,
So I think if we could teach people about their emotions and teach people to be with their emotions and how to process their emotions, I think the world would be a much better and happier and safer place to be. I think
yeah,
emotional work is huge because we're not taught it. If you think about children, like as a child, I was told I was too much, it was too dramatic, because I live in an empty house. No, I didn't. And my perception was absolutely correct. I was pattern recognizing. My body was responding to unsafe
yeah,
environments, and that was being silenced and dismissed out of me. Nobody likes a greeting face. Don't be angry. That's wrong. Just put it in the back of your head. Holy shit, right? So
yeah,
that's why I think a lot of people are in a place that you're discussing, because they do not know how to be with their emotions. They think it's a bad thing. And I think that is why a lot of people are coming from really defensive places.
yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
a thought.
No, it's a beautiful thought, and I think what you're touching on there, I resonate a lot with in terms of you as your younger self. I reckon that, like a sub story. I don't mind saying this out loud. I was out, picked up a bit of an injury earlier in 2025. I recall really, really well. I think what you're saying is that place of growth and stuff. I was thinking a lot whilst out walking. I was listening to a lot of podcasts, and I was actually in a podcast with Gabor Mate with Theo Vaughan. Now, it was a strange collaboration. It was not one that I expected in a early, wet, cold morning in Colwyn walking about that I was going to feel so deeply. But he talked a lot about trauma being from the Greek meaning of wounds, and he
Yeah.
talked a lot about the two types of wounds that someone has. One being hardened, and really you could try and break into it, but the person's hardened to what they are now being exposed to, and one being so delicate that if you pick the scab, it will bleed. So you'll
Mm.
bleed out. Usually, you're bleeding out onto others. And I was thinking about that, and I, I was tears rolling down my face. Thought a lot about that, like you describe those behaviours that I was displaying as a child,
Mm.
as a young boy,
Mm.
that people were trying to kick back against and
Yeah.
you're made to feel that you're the wrong one, you're displaying the wrong things, and you're like looking back going, no, I was showing exactly what I was supposed to show for
Mhm.
exactly what I was living in. I was being
Right.
exposed to, and it's fucking crazy that we
Isn't it?
then wonder things manifest and
Why?
think, yeah, yeah,
That's it. Because then we're being well, in fact, we are then at that point being taught by the senior adults in our life to silence our instincts. Our nervous system that was designed to give us these messages of safety, not safe,
yes,
uncertain, happiness, joy, that. We were taught to then silence our instincts. and then we adapted these parts of us. So that means then the wholeness of us had parts of us had to adapt, had to reshape to become something else, to be acceptable to that person. Let's say, for example, right, say you got angry at something as a child, right? And that was wrong. Don't be angry. That's bad. That's bad. Shit, that's bad. Even although the anger was absolutely bang on right,
Yes.
that means that then that shame was, we'll feel the feeling of shame, which is like, I'm not acceptable, I don't belong. It's embarrassment, it's really heavy. So then you adapt. So then you do not show anger in that way around that person specifically. So then you've had to adapt. You've had
Yeah.
to create a brand new part of you in order to stay attached to that person, because we're
Yes.
all about attachment, aren't we?
Yeah.
And then that attachment doesn't like just dissolve and disappear. That wound, that adaptation of the whole who we are, it's still there. It resides in our nervous system as an interrupted fight, flight, freeze, fawn. In fact, it was a fight response. If we stick to the anger, there was an anger fight response. It didn't get co-regulated by the adult. So the experience of the anger, which was bang on right, was not brought to closure and completion by the senior adult or the adult to co-regulate and say, it's okay, darling, it's all right for you to be angry. I can understand why you're angry. Like, here's a hug or whatever, and and help you process that fight response, bring safety to the body. The body goes, okay, and that threat is over. And then that does not get stored away as bad experience, blah, 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 whatever the story is in the nervous system and then in the unconscious. But that's not what happens. We get dismissed, shut down. So we've got all these lovely parts of us that existed that were correct and they were
Yeah.
absolutely perceiving the threat to be correct. And then we have to then get the adaptation. I kind of look at it like that was the whole you, but then we've got to protect the whole you with this new
Yes.
part. And this
Yeah.
new part's a defense mechanism,
Yeah. Yeah.
or it's a fawn response. It's
Yeah.
a people-pleasing response. It's
Yeah.
being of service. It's being good. It's being kind. It's being saying yes, and everybody will like me. Or it's a freeze response. Maybe I kind of go mute a lot and I don't really say anything and I'm quite quiet and I just like look around and I hope that someone else will make the decision for me. Or maybe I'm a bit fucking jaggy as I get older. I go, fuck you. When I'm in the flash of it, or I'm a fighter, I move away a lot. So these responses are I think we all will have experiences of that. And I think if we could help people with that regulation piece and helping them with those triggers, because that's what they are, flashbacks from the past, I think the world would be different.
Um, fucking love this. I love this. You are opening up so many boxes. One of the things that I've really dialed into myself with the work with, in particular with men and obviously with men and women and stuff as well, around the breath work in
Yeah,
the
lovely.
last while. Now the reason take away the modality of the breath work, I
Yeah,
want to really focus in on the point that you are making, that
yeah.
you're doing with people as well. Because I was describing when somebody says, why have you getting into the breath work? Because people knew that I sort of worked as I could with
Yeah,
anybody with the
yeah.
mind. And I was trying to say that what I realised about myself and what I've realised about myself and my own physical health over the years, developing a skin condition following a really stressful episode in a working environment many, many, many years ago, which I've got for life, then seeing working around and being and having relationships with people that were having gut health issues, were having skin
Mhm.
issues, were having all these things. I was like, yeah, actually the easy bit is to just go straight for there and just work on that mind. But the magic is in what the body's holding on to. And I kind of was like, holy shit. So when I started dabbling personally with breath work and things like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
I was like, I'm opening doors here that the mind didn't even know were doors.
yeah.
And I love what you're talking about in terms of the regulation piece.
Mhm.
I didn't realise until starting to dabble with this work that I was holding on to things I thought were gone. I was like, I've done the work up here. I'm okay with this, and also with a lot of the guys and girls and stuff that I've seen that are starting to look at the regulation in themselves, people have got no idea what they're holding on to. They've got no idea. They're going, I've not been sleeping well for a while. Yeah, because
You've got
you've
a
got some
dysregulated nervous
you've
system.
got some deep rooted shit that needs
But
out.
your body's hypervigilance. There's probably something that's an emotion that's stuck in your system somewhere. And wouldn't it be wonderful if actually we could teach everybody how to just get down and into their bodies and feel it, know what it is, also is helpful. But it's awareness. We want awareness, but then also to be with the sensation of this emotion, this anxiety, this anger. Just be with the sensation. You're not the sensation. You are witnessing the sensation in your body, but it needs you. It needs you to help it along, to move it along and out of your system, you know. Breath is wonderful for that because you know you'll know what you're doing there with that, but that's also a wonderful modality to bring that calm into the system. But if you take it a further step forward into your breath work, in and down at the same time, really having awareness of where it is that you're feeling those sensations of that, maybe the ball or maybe the sort of heavy weight or whatever.
Yes.
I mean, it's pretty life changing. I was the same as you actually, because I trained obviously in the top of the heat, you know, like my
Yep.
first trainings was NLP, then I went into
Yep.
the hypnosis, and then I knew something was missing. I knew
Yes.
something was missing in my practice. I knew it was missing, and that's when I went off into training in like embodiment work, and so I work with the nervous system right down
Yes.
into your working with your system to work with triggers, and that's what we do in the practice, but also trauma release breath work.
Yeah.
So they're doing a combination of down up, so you're able to
Yep.
do
Yep.
this NLP and down into the body, working in the nervous system, which is pretty powerful. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, I love that, and I think the reason I'm homed in on it is because I just think if people are listening and watching this, I really hope that they hear that part that
Mhm.
you and I we can work magic tricks on their head, but if only we could show them what as
Yes.
that fantastic book talks about, the body keeps the score.
Mhm.
The body's the that's the key that's going to open everything else up. No, I love that. I love it. Right. So I found a brilliant post that you did, um, and it was lessons that 2025 had taught you. Do you remember this one?
Yeah, it was funny when you said that the other night. There was like, oh Jesus Christ, you've been on my bloody page. Yes, yeah,
Yes.
I
So
do
I love
remember.
this. So I love this and the reason I love this is because it opens up some really brilliant little mini topics. And I
Yeah.
wanted to pose each one to you and then
Okay.
just let you expand on it with your own way.
Yeah,
All
sure.
right. So number one,
Hmm.
if my body says no, that is a no, and I now listen. It usually knows long before my head wants to admit it. What does
Yeah.
that mean? What does that mean to you?
It means what we're saying really is years ago I had obviously been conditioned to silence my instincts, which was my emotions. I didn't feel safe in my emotions, if the truth be told, and I didn't believe that I was right. I was obviously quite disconnected. I was disassociated a lot of my life, if the truth be told. Now, the reason why that point is on there, by the way, that these points came out of a really, what would I say, hard year, a very hard year last year, really hard year. And it was very physically difficult for me last year. I was ill
Yeah,
all year, right? I had to put everything on back burners that I had planned, that I was ready to go. But when you're ill, your tolerance is dropping, your energy is precious, it's like,
yeah,
but what I suppose I was being forced to do was to be very honest with myself
yeah,
that what I could do and what I couldn't do. Right. So back to your question,
yeah,
the backstory of my instincts and emotions wasn't good with, and didn't even know what they were, if the truth be told, right? But obviously, over the last few years, that is an area that I have studied and
yeah,
obviously work in the practice,
yeah,
etc. And in my events and stuff, I work in the body, right? But What happened last year, that's why this is on this for last year, is last year I actually bypassed my instincts. Holy fuck. On one occasion, right? And it really bit me in the arse. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it bit my arse. So it shows you though, like, even though like you've done a lot of work and you
Yeah.
believe to be true that you have sort of got a handle on this, you know, that's where the compassion kicks in, and I absolutely do have compassion for myself because that was my sort of fawning response. I recognised the
Yeah.
situation that was presenting itself to me. I was definitely fawning in the moment, and I shouldn't have, because my instinct said this person is fucking malignant. And instead of me dealing with the malignant person, I actually didn't. I fawned a bit, thinking that would that was the
Yeah.
right thing, you know, using my social engagement part of my brain, thinking that would make it go away, but it didn't. This
Yeah.
person was yeah, dark personality traits. So that hurt me. But that meant then that will not, I'm holding myself to account with that, because
Yes.
I've got that on my, I've changed that in my values this year. So I change my values every few years, and my intuition is now in like at number 2 on my value, rung of the ladder, because just to make sure that I run that through a filter, that I don't get myself in a situation like that again. I may get myself into a situation like that again, but that is what happened. That's why that was there. There you
I
go.
like it. Number 2, I do not stay where honesty is not welcome. If telling the truth creates drama or explosions instead of understanding, that tells me everything I need to know. I am off.
Yep, totally. Now that is what was really great. As much as it was a hard year being ill, I was able to not just talk it, I was walking it. I was definitely up against some very, very, I'm going to say them, they were really malignant and very difficult people. See the way that my business is growing, right? It's growing pretty exponentially, right?
Yeah.
It's very visible, right? The more visible you become, you can imagine what you're getting, right? You're getting some folk, right, that are quite interesting.
Yes.
So I found myself having to really stand in my ground and hold the ground and recognise what was going on and dealt with it. But equally, I had that also in my personal life too last
Yeah.
year as well. So I had some really, really difficult decisions to make last year that were not easy, but I made them, and the choice was for every single one of them was to withdraw. Um, and that was because these people were not being honest. They were not being honest, and I
Yeah.
don't say that lightly. These are people that were drama starting and wanting to cause me harm,
Mm.
and I was also exposed to people that were harming people that I love, and I will never ever be an enabler of that. I've seen
Yeah.
enablement. I've been at the hands of being abused and people enabling the abuser to continue to abuse me because they didn't want to rock the boat with that person or whatever. I'll never ever do that. So I've walked away from some people because if I did that, then I would be dishonest, and I'm not going to do that.
That's a big one, Lorna, what you've just touched on there, isn't it? The
Mhm.
whole people standing by,
Mhm.
watch, allowing behaviours to happen
Mhm.
because, in particular, emotional sort of type stuff, the
Mhm.
little like mind games and things like that, and people allow it to happen because they want to keep themselves out of the line of fire, don't they?
Mhm. I'm quite happy to not put myself in to fix anything. I know that to be true. I don't have to fix anything that's not
Yeah,
mine to fix, and I didn't
yeah,
break or to get involved. I won't do that, but I will not stand back and be silent if I have to speak. And I think using discernment and recognising the pattern of this person, I'll speak up. Not to fix it. It's definitely not mine to fix, but I will definitely step back so that therefore then I'm not part of the problem. And that takes,
yeah,
by the way, that is the growth. That is where you've seen, like, I am very much working and constantly and always will continually work hard to be like authentically who I actually believe I am. I'm
Yes.
holding myself to account here. And that's where my clients get to, by the way. Who are
Yeah.
you? Because you better fucking hold yourself to account to that, because it's a really good place to be. It's a peaceful place to be, by the way, when you choose
Yes.
what you actually think about something, feel something, even if the people around about it don't get you, and the people around about you think, oh my God, like, why is she walking away? She's so aggressive? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm just not watching this crap. And I'm not going to be part of that dysfunction. I just won't do it anymore. So
It leads
that's
in.
where that one comes from.
No, I love it. It leads into the next one, and this is probably at the core of certainly all the people I come into contact with,
Mhm.
and that's around boundaries. So
Ah,
what you've wrote is boundaries are not punishment. You explain a little bit more, but I'm going to let you do that in your own words. So boundaries are not punishment.
yeah. Yeah, because a lot of people think that, if you say no, or if you say, hey, can you not to do that, or can we talk about this because I'm not comfortable with what you've just said or what we're doing or whatever, or I want to change my mind, right?
Yeah.
Something simple like that. When you've got somebody that is not regulating their system, right? They're not good at, they're not connected to their self cause, they are not good with their emotions, then they will see that as, oh my God, you're so, you're being cruel, you're being cold, or I can't believe you're doing that. Or, we're friends, or you shouldn't be doing that. You're hurting me. Can't believe you're saying that. I thought that that's what you were to me. What the fuck? What do you mean? So now I was in an invisible role that I didn't sign up for. So you can see people think that by you having a standard, or yeah, you've got priorities of your own to protect yourself, to keep yourself safe, then they will take that as punishment and they will punish you for it. That is a real clear sign that um, now, do you have someone then that could be immature, that is coming from trauma, or you could have somebody that's malevolent, right? This is where you have to use discernment. So when you do start asserting boundaries in life, right? So I have to be clear on that, right? When you do start to set boundaries out, boundaries are just the standards of your life, making sure that you're keeping to your priorities. So if you say you're going to the gym, right, and somebody says, hey, come on out for a pint, no, 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 stick to your priorities. And you say, look, thanks for the invite, maybe another time. And the guy goes, oh, folks sake, man, come on out for the pint. Oh, come on, don't be a bloody, stick to it, But if they're kicking off, that's fine that they kick off. That's their kick off, right? You're not doing anything wrong. Here's where it can change up. This is where the person that's not used to you being that, because they're that used to you saying, aye, 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 that'll be great. They're getting an opportunity to change, right? A lot of folk won't like it at the start, but they will adapt, then they will modify, and they will respect your change, and they'll come on the journey, right? They might know it. You'll feel the resistance a bit, you'll be a bit of resistance, that's it. Hold it, hold the discomfort. You're not going to like it. That doesn't mean to say that they are malevolent. It doesn't mean to say that they are
Yeah.
immature.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean any of that. It just means that they're struggling with that, the new, and then give them time and they'll come on the journey with you. That's healthy. That's fine. That's absolutely normal. It's when the person's gone, oh, can't believe you did that. Oh my God. And then I don't want to, they're telling everybody that you're aggressive, that you've hurt them, that you've changed, that you're cold now. That's something that I would be like, and I'll see you later. Well, no, that's a different thing.
Oh, I fucking love that one. I love that one. I talked about this on a little video just a couple of nights ago about the whole thing. This is coming up a lot just now about how people are spewing over people that are trying to change,
Mm,
trying to make discipline, change, sort of changes in their life, try to put in some boundaries around those changes,
mhm,
and you do not need to look far to find people spewing
mhm.
their discomfort
Yeah,
around. This is the biggest thing. See, this time of year, especially when people are trying to new year, new opportunities,
yeah,
new resolutions. They're trying to say, "Do you know what? I want better for me." They're not thinking about you when they're right. They're thinking about, I don't like this in me anymore. I don't want to take drugs anymore. I don't want to drink anymore. I don't want to fucking do this anymore.
yeah.
and then they are met with boundaries. No,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not good with that. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to discredit you. I'm going
Yeah,
to pull you down. I am going to make you fucking
yeah,
question every part of the existence of that change and that
yeah,
boundary.
yeah,
I love what you're saying there. I'm
yeah,
seeing
yeah.
this so much.
Yeah, I think yeah, you'll be disrupting something inside of somebody that be a light that you're shining on them of the thing that they're not doing for themselves and they wish they could. So they'll discredit you, as you rightly said, belittle you, shame you, put you down as if you're doing something wrong. But that's all in them. We have to remember that this is really an uncomfortable thing when you start to set out boundaries.
Yes.
By the way, are actually like you're just like your little picket fence to protect yourself to make sure that you're operating from a place of health and authenticity. And it also means that, by the way, I want to keep you. I want to
Aye.
keep you in my life. Here's what it's going to take. Oh, pal, I want you in my life, but this is it. And then a choice. I do think when we start doing it, I think that we should give people a bit of the benefit of the doubt. It's
Uh-huh.
this continual, could let them catch
Yes.
up if they can. And, but if they keep doing it, I'm afraid that's not for you. Let them go. Walk away.
Yeah. Love that. Love that. This one's
Mm-hmm.
good. Clarity matters.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about this one.
Remind me, read it out to me, because
So,
clarity, I really like
so
that.
yeah, so you've expanded a little bit
Mm-hmm.
around if something feels confusing, unsettling, I stop talking myself out of it. Confusion is a warning and a massive red flag.
Mm-hmm. What have I said? Read that back out because the clarity
So,
matters. That what comes
yeah,
after.
yeah. So, point is clarity matters,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and you're talking about things feeling confusing, unsettling. I stopped talking myself out of it. Confusion is a warning and a massive red flag.
aye. So this is very much how I live now, right? See if it feels off. I think I said this earlier on. See if you get that tug, get a wee tug, don't you? A wee tickle in your tummy or kind of thing. It doesn't. Do you know what that is? If it feels off, it's off, right? That's it, really. If it feels off, it's off. And I will have clarity in what I'm seeing because of the pattern recognition. It's like discernment, using what I now know. I now know what manipulation sounds like, what it looks like, what where it will lead to if I continue to allow that to happen in my life. I can tell from my instincts as the person, like, got something that they're trying to get from me, not in a good way. So the clarity of that is use what you know, really use what you know, believe what you see. Do not be fucking second guessing.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe they were that shoving your potential onto somebody else who you are. We need to stop that. We need to actually remember good and evil. Bad exists. So let's believe what you see here if you believe that it is something off. So the clarity of what you know, believe it. The truth sets us free, even when it's really hard, even when it comes at a cost. Because I do think that being authentic, which is somebody that's being integrity, you're being you're living integrity to who you are, right? It will come at a cost,
yes,
right? Of course it will. The cost will be to yourself, as in you're going to grieve, you're going to lose parts of yourself like you never thought you would have to, the beliefs that you had, the way that you used to operate from life. There's a lot of shit that you're having to let go of, and that's sore. But the bigger cost will be relationships.
yeah,
Because to be yourself, I do believe that is why we were created. I do think when people say, I don't know what my purpose is, there's your purpose, pal. Don't overthink it. Don't think it's you need a big fancy job or the big cat like you to help fucking millions. Your purpose in life is to be the person you were created to be. You've got a bloody, a spirit, a soul
yes.
in there. You do know who you are. You just don't let yourself be that person because everybody else has silenced you down.
Why I like Clarity Matters is because um we are as human beings we get paralysis by analysis, and the more
Oh,
we
aye.
analyze the person, the behavior, or the situation, the more we start to distort it and get it all mixed up, and we
Exactly.
come and before you know it, it's like the version that you're left with has took you away from the facts of this fucking matter.
Yes.
And I think what I took for Clarity Matters is what was it that happened? What was it you felt when it happened? What did they show you?
Aye.
That's the fucking facts. That is what you're clear on. You don't need to get caught up in what everybody else said after that, or
They
what your
didn't mean
best
it.
pal
Oh, I'm
had
sure
a
they
feel.
didn't. No, clarity is true. It's believe what you see, believe it,
Yeah.
believe it. Stop trying to analyze it. Do not second guess it. You know, you bloody well know. And I'll tell you
Yeah.
something. You don't. This. I'm not like I say. This isn't. I'm not talking from a place of like out a book. This is because I've made all these mistakes. I've done it.
Yes.
I've been that
Yes.
person, right? So there's no judgment. There's no shame. There's no blame. It's just what serves me now is actually to be really true to who I am,
Yeah.
and I live a better life on it. Have I reamed out loads of folk out my life? Oh yes, had to be the person I am right now. I wasn't accepted for this girl. I'm a bit mental. I'm a bit, I've got things to say, but I'm very, very, very caring and very, very kind. But in order to be this person, a lot of people were not accepting of that because it
No.
was clearly shining a light on them. It was clearly making them uncomfortable because I wanted to speak the truth. I found my voice and I was wanting to talk about the things that they were doing that were upsetting me, but they didn't want to have those conversations and they wanted to then blame shift me. That's not happening. That's not
No.
happening. Not now.
I feel like I'm your the brother from another mother. I feel like I'm the male version, and because
Hey.
I relate so much to that. Right, this one's good, and it probably touches in with the clarity stuff. Anger is not the problem.
Mm.
Ignoring it is.
Anger's great. I love it when a client starts to connect to their anger. A lot of my clients come in and actually they're in freeze response. They're pretty much in disassociation. They're numbed down and dulled down, and it's inevitable that they're going to get treated like shite. So when you start to feel your anger in the work that I do, that means then that they're now connecting to their true self because now they're listening to that warmth, that heat, that part of the body that's saying, this is wrong and this should never have happened and I'm not okay with it. Now, that doesn't mean to say that we now like marinate in it and we soak ourselves in it and we wear a cape of anger and we start taking revenge out on everybody. We do not turn bitter, but we use that anger as motivation for us to change. For us to change, which will be find your voice, get the boundaries, have the respect for yourself, live your values, don't put up and shut up, or use your discernment and stay silent and exit quietly here because this is not going to serve you. But we use our anger for good. Yeah.
Again, I think each one I want to try to find a little insight for mine and what it means to me. One of the things that certainly I've really loved doing over the last couple of years with my men's events, the King's Club events, is to get
Mhm.
these men to actually understand that anger, maybe up until now, has been used as a destructive tool. And
Yes.
when they actually realise how they can use such a powerful energy to make positive change, how to channel that and use
Uh-huh.
that sort of warrior archetype and say,
Yeah.
well, if I use this to fall out with everyone and everyone's gone, oh, look at him going again, that's him shouting it off, and how what could I actually if that's what it can do in a bad day, what could I do with that in a good day? So I'm like you, it's like it's good that you've got a bit of anger in you. What can
Yes.
we do with that?
Well, why do you think I do what I do? I was absolutely furious when I woke up to this stuff. Furious. In fact, I remember feeling rage at one point,
Yeah.
absolute rage, pure rage. Which there's nothing wrong with rage, by the way. That's also,
Yep.
I see rage in my room. It's not that they're fucking going nuts in my room. It's just I know they're connecting to rage in their body. So, I am angry. I am angry, by the way, about what these people do to other people and lie about it and pretend that it hasn't happened and do all the things that I talk about. So I am angry. So my anger, in all honesty, is exactly what I needed for my own change, but also for me to help others change because it
Yes.
motivates me every single day. Because I do not want people to be in a place where I was, which was not good. It was not good. So my anger, by the way, I'm not like an angry person. I hate people. I'm absolutely living my values. I
Yeah.
know I am.
Yeah.
As much as I can, by the way. I make mistakes, of course, but I'm not angry. I am assertive. And I use that's wrong to keep going. It really helps me.
Love it, man. This one's a biggie, certainly, and it speaks volumes about, well, I can relate a lot. I pay attention to words and actions.
Aye, both, both.
The big
You think that
radar.
NLP is language, isn't it? So you kind of know what's behind the
Yeah.
words. So you're listening to it.
So what you've said below that is how people speak tells you a lot. So does what they do and what they avoid.
Aye. So words tell you a lot, don't they? How they speak to you, how they speak about others. Uh,
Yes.
those subtle little digs, those little covert, little paper cut comments that you're not really sure what they meant, but they fucking were passive aggressive, they were jealousy or envy, or, they were intimidated by it. So you can hear those little nuances in people's language, but then there's also that sort of, what we were saying, is what the behaviours. Of course, if somebody says, oh, yeah, I'll help you with that or whatever, they're saying, I'm really happy for you, but actually, fucking, like, the behaviour is the utter, opposite, isn't it? They're doing something different to what they say. Words and actions don't match. Oh, I really care about you, but you're nowhere to be seen. I've
Yeah.
just started, say, I don't know, just say I've started a business, but you're nowhere to be fucking seen, right? I do a new qualification. Oh, you're nowhere to be seen. But you
Yeah.
care. You really matter to me. Oh, really? But you don't, your actions don't show that. I've been absolutely on my arse. I'm on my knees right now. My life is that's yeah, well, that's right. It is in your. I think, although you find a lot of like really kind of covertly like manipulative people really enjoy people's sadness. That's when they come out and they're really great and they're really helpful and they're just wonderful. But then watch when you see when you start to do better. Watch what happens there. Absolute. It's just, and it's so hurtful and it's so harmful and it's so damaging because you believe this person really cared about you. But they were getting something from you, that was making
Yes.
area better than, look at me helping you in your hour of need, and you're feeding my ego, and I'm absorbing all of your shit because my life is actually shit, but you're succeeding nowhere to be seen.
Two things I think about on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, One, a little analogy I keep just for me, but I'm now going to put it into the world.
Mm-hmm.
Look at who makes deposits in your life and who makes withdrawals.
Oh.
One of the things that I sort of realised as my circle became a lot smaller in the last few years, um, is there was a lot of people making a lot of withdrawals, and there
Yeah.
wasn't very many people making deposits.
Yeah.
And when I thought about that, the second thing that also comes to mind when I think about this one about I pay attention to your words and actions, people when people speak, how do they speak, all this kind of thing is and you touched on it there is notice who's around making lots of noise when you're failing and falling,
Why?
when things aren't going so well and you're facing adversity. There's a lot of noise. But certainly when you start your trajectory and you start to really get on top of your shit and you
Yeah.
start to really grow and you've got real presence within
Yeah.
yourself,
Yeah.
it's really silent.
Oh yeah. Or
It's
belittling.
really silent.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, it's very that's there's clarity, but now I see that as clarity. Now that's clarity. Before I go,
Yes.
what is that? Why are they doing that? I don't understand. What have I done? Oh my goodness.
Aye.
Oh, what do I need to do? I'm trying to fix something that isn't. They might even like,
Yes.
I haven't broken it, but I'm trying to make it better. Try to understand it. Try to analyze it. Fuck that. You know. So yeah, that's a big one. I think that you've clearly gone through that. I've
Yes.
absolutely raked out long-term relationships because of that, if I'm absolutely honest with you. I've seen, the other end of that as in, people enjoying your sadness, but I've also seen
Yes.
when I was not in a good place, like when I was probably in my darkest days, where people were nowhere to be seen. In fact, they were actually like nowhere. I was absolutely isolated and on my own. It's like they didn't
Yes.
want to know me.
Yeah.
Is
I think when you've wrote this, I think they each have flowed beautifully into the next because this one leads on to my depth was never the issue. So it talks about I've been told I'm too much when I see what I see now is the depth exposes what people do not want to face.
Mhm.
This is not mine to manage.
Yeah, I mean, I realise that I'm a reader of patterns of behaviour, and I do look at life probably through a different lens to other people, which is uniquely me, which is you look at life through the way that you look at it. But it wasn't, it was made out like I was too much, that too sensitive, you're too deep. Like that was a bad thing. It was as if they were vomiting in their mouth, and I was wanting to talk about something, about life, or what is it you think about that? And how do you feel about that? Oh my goodness. I'm really interested in people,
Yes, yes,
really interested in how people, move. Why do you think that? What is it makes you do that? Why are you like that? I fucking love that, right? But the people that I had round about me, um, yeah, they were shallow. They
yeah.
were shallow. They were definitely immature.
The
And
depth, and you feel the depth, and when you talk about a subject matter, the depth is there on display. You can feel the depth coming through the screen. If you understand if you can get it, then you feel that depth. And again, I took this one when I reread this today. I didn't realize this one was going to touch me so much. I thought a lot about this one when I was driving back home today when I was going to get ready for this. I actually wrote on my story last week. Last week was a particular difficult week around a subject that's close to my heart, which is male suicide.
mm,
And we two guys and stuff. And anyway, I was rocked deeply.
mhm,
Not because I knew these guys,
mhm,
because this subject, yeah. So what I wrote, I tried to find the words, and I believe that I've maybe heard it on a podcast or something before, sort of similar. And what I wrote was, the depth of my consciousness is neither a blessing or a curse. I feel everything so deeply,
mm,
like it opens me up, not in a negative way or a positive way,
mm,
but I love what you've wrote there because I also feel that there's loads of people listening to this, watching this, that will go, yeah, that's me too. And I am sick of fucking apologising to
mm,
people for
mhm,
that.
mhm,
I feel things,
mm,
I process things,
mhm,
and I love that you've articulated that in a way that you have.
mhm.
It's powerful.
Yeah, I just wish that we could all just bloody drop the guard a bit here. Uh,
Yes.
and I just drop the guard, just like the ego needs to like get to and just listen to folk. You don't have to fix folk and you don't even have to agree with them. It'd be really nice if people just listened
Yeah.
instead of trying to fix or instead of trying to give a judgment or what you think about it or what you think they should do. Just shut up. Just shut up.
Just
You
shut
know,
up.
just shut up and hold space for people and be kind and just listen.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
would be nice. So your depth, there's nothing wrong with it. I'd imagine. I think everybody has depth. It's just to what level have they protected it and covered it up and hid it away? Because
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
wasn't.
That's it. How thick is the guard, the wall between you and and what you're
Aye,
allowing yourself to feel? I
yeah,
think I've just got to the point in the last couple of years where I'm like, I want to feel it all. I want to feel it all. Give me it. I don't
yeah,
care what this means. I don't care how much I need to cry, how much I need to go to the top of a hill and
yeah,
shout for the top of my lungs. I
yeah.
want to feel it and I
Yeah.
want to know what it means and just allow it to
Yeah,
run
and,
through
and
me.
that and that's that like really being connected to yourself then. There's a
Yeah,
real truth in what you're saying here, like
yeah,
a deep cellular level of connectedness. This is how I feel, even if you don't agree, and even if you
yeah,
think I'm off my nut,
yeah,
this is for me. And And it's so spectacularly healing for us to be
Yeah.
able to just validate our own experience. It's that whole, like I talk about that to the clients. A lot of clients apologise for maybe saying something.
Yeah.
A client will say to me, they're in maybe something like, and I don't want to go to my mum's funeral. Do you think that's bad? And I'll say, allow the truth of you to exist. Allow it to exist. Allow it to be here. It's part of you. That is how you feel about it. That's what you think about it. Who am I? Who am I to say that?
Yeah.
Or whatever. I'm just giving you an example of
Yeah.
somebody's truth that
Yeah.
somebody, you know, out in the street would go, what? That's a terrible thing to say. They need to get to their funeral. Yeah, but
Who says?
you don't. That's exactly it.
Who
You don't
says?
know what's been going on there. We need to allow people's truths to exist.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it would save a lot of lives.
Wow. Um, I do not chase conversations that cannot move forward.
Yeah. I think people that are rooted in dishonesty, which they are, being dishonest with themselves and lying to themselves and to protect themselves. I can't actually be around people like that. That makes my body. That's when I'll become very dysregulated. Like I will know that
Yeah.
I've got somebody that I shouldn't be around. So I can't. I love the truth. I actually really. I say that a lot in the house. To my son. My son's 18. I say, give me the truth. I love the truth. I can handle the truth. Honestly, give me the truth. I love it. I actually
Yeah.
operate really well in the truth. I'm like a high performer with the truth. Give me the shit. I'm in. I'm right in. Don't be fucking covering that up and pretending and hiding and all that. I'll see it anyway. But so if I register it, somebody's lying or somebody's been dishonest, well, she can tell anyway because it doesn't feel comfy. It feels like what would you call it? It's that sort of like, there's a rub in there. There's like an internal, like, this doesn't make sense. I'm confused. Right? There's somebody's not being honest here.
It's funny you say that. I'm laughing. Somebody said to me in work, I notice you in some conversations, or if there's maybe a few of you standing or getting into it and all that, says you just turn and walk away. And I went, because I've had enough of the bullshit. I've heard enough. Says, but you don't say anything. I went, what is it they say? That's their story. I'm not going to disrupt their story. I've just heard enough.
That's discernment, isn't it? That's that, like choosing where, when you do and should speak up and choosing when to show grace
Aye.
and you turn around and you move along because absolutely that's theirs and leave them with that. That's theirs to learn if they choose to learn. It's an interesting thing. What we're
And
talking
then
about, we've got nice and deep, but it's good. I'm glad you have, if I'm honest, because that is actually where the work that I do actually gets to, if I'm honest.
that's where the magic is, isn't it? And it's interesting, this then leads on to number 9, which probably when you wrote this, it just naturally progressed. I leave earlier now.
Mhm.
I do not wait for things to fall apart before I act. Patterns are enough for me to move
Yeah.
back.
Patterns don't lie. Someone where there's repetition and someone is repeated behaviour, that's enough. Believe it, and I'm off. I'm last year with that bypassing of my intuition, it really taught me such a lot. So now, well, from the rest of that, but after that really difficult experience and coming up against some difficult people, that just taught me again just to, move quickly. Do not question, do not second guess, get out, go.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
And number 10, which you actually touched on this earlier, and I like that. I live my values. I do not just talk about them. My behaviour has to match who I say I am, even when that's cost me.
100%. So massive, massive, massive part of who I am and how I ensure that I am staying on track and moving forward is to make sure that I'm holding myself to account to my values. Your values are your core beliefs. They're a combination of your beliefs, your experiences, isn't it? It's what I value, what's really important to me. And it also is a part of my identity, my values, and I hope that you see them because my values are truth and honesty. my values are communication. I communicate everything I can as much as I can. Laughter is one of my values. Kindness is another one of my values. So and obviously the instinct value has been
Yeah.
placed in there. So I run everything through those values. So like whatever's going on the outside, right? I will make sure that I am being truthful with myself first and honest with myself. And if I recognise something on the outside is not being truthful and honest, then I'll feel it in my body. You feel it, you suffocate when you're not. Either I'm not operating from my values or someone else isn't actually. I'll be able to register.
Yes.
So my values, when people say, I don't know who you are or who I am, which that happens a lot in my work, the best way to quickly help them understand who they are is just do a quick value session, because here's who you are. So I can ably say, like, I really value truth, I really value honesty. I'm somebody who attempts
Yeah.
to, from an authentic place, I like to communicate as much as I can. I'm somebody that really values, being kind to people and having laughter, but, I'm going to be truthful even at the expense of maybe potentially hurting someone else. But I know that it's not my hurt to own, because I am always doing it from a place of kindness.
Yeah.
So there's my values being spoken to you. And, in a kind of interesting way, I think, but I definitely use my values as a filter and as an accountability tool. I don't just say, oh, I know my values. No, I hold myself to account to my values. In fact, to the point I've actually got them on my front of my phone, like, so that when I've changed them recently there, I put them on the front so that I've got them there to remind me to make sure
Ah.
I'm filtering it. So I'm holding myself to account all the time. Because then that's me being authentic. I'm being honest then.
Do you think so again, what would it, when I looked at each one, I was trying to think, what does this mean to me? So I think when I was looking at this one, I was going, what am I taking from that? So I feel like I've got strong values like you. I think I have.
Mhm.
Um, so I feel like I know what they are. But the question that came up is when something comes up that I react to,
Mhm.
that, or overreact to or something, do you think it's worth to sort of look at how your values have affected that thing? I don't know if I'm making sense here. You know, why am I feeling this way about this thing, this situation, this event, and being able to look at my values? Well, what are my strongest values? Well, naturally, I'm feeling this way. For example, if it's if if my value around family is
Mhm.
one of my top kids, top
Mhm.
tier, and then I look at a situation that it's upset me, well, it's looking at, well, how does that, yeah, of course, because family is one of the most important. Do you
Mhm.
think there's something in that for people to, it's important for them to understand what is my top values, and that will help me
Definitely.
realise why I feel so
Yes.
strongly about certain things.
100%, because you'll feel it viscerally. You'll feel it like I say, it's like a suffocation.
Yeah.
If somebody is impacting isn't living and operating from your value base, and if you're not living and operating from
Yeah.
your value base, you're going to bloody well feel it in your body. Believe you me. And I'll tell you something else. You think about all the clients that you work in. I bet you every single one of them is walking in the door with some sort of values conflict, aren't they?
Yes.
They're in conflict with their own bloody values, because maybe they're in the job that they absolutely fucking despise, and teamwork and care or love or something is their value, but over in their work, they're not getting treated like a team member, and they're not getting cared for, and they're not getting like shown love, they're not being
Yeah.
listened to and heard. So holy shit, man, you're sitting in front of me in this chair. Well, that's because you're in a job that is not meeting your values, pal.
Yes.
And
Yes.
is that a cost that you're willing to continue to,
Yes.
absorb? Oh, I would say no. So maybe it's time to address getting a new job. Oh, no, 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 I can't, because it's a good compensation package, it's a good pension. Right, well, we need to look at that story then, pal, because your value says this is really,
Yes.
really important to you, but then you're saying, but so is the pension. Right, so you've clearly got something about security here. So I have to unpick everything. But you're right, values. But the bloody well golden thread of us.
Yes. I
Value.
think that's the thing I want, because there'll be so many people will listen to this and they'll be going, Right, so we're talking a lot about values and what does that mean to me? So yeah, in essence, if you one of your top values is honesty and you are being
Better be bloody
continuously met
honest.
with dishonesty, you are going to be fucking all over the place.
Yes,
So if
you
you don't
are.
address that dishonesty somehow, then you're going to be in conflict constantly and wondering why do I feel like shit all the time? Ah, well,
Because you know that there's something on the outside, you know, the external
yes,
is
yes,
absolutely disrupting in the internal.
yes,
It means you're now being dishonest with yourself if
yes,
you do not address what's going on or adapt or modify or do something to help this along. You know, do you know what I mean? So you're going to have to live your own values to tackle that one,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
which comes at a cost, right?
yes,
You have to get ready for the discomfort of growth. Growth isn't, like I say, yoga mats and sage in your house and wind chimes. They're all very, very good things. Absolutely wonderful, right? Totally lovely things. Sound baths, great to relax you. That's not fucking growth. What we're talking about is having to really self-reflect, look inward and realise the patterns of our own behaviours, our own, you know, life that we're operating from and making sure, is this really who I want to be, you know, according to the values that I say? Because if I say I'm kind, am I actually really being kind? If I'm saying I'm honest, am I really being honest? Because see, if you're not, you're going to have to sort it out.
yeah. Who are you when no one's watching? That's who you are.
True. It is, I'm telling you, that is the biggest part of growth, other than all the other shit we
Yeah,
from trauma and stuff.
yeah,
You when you start to identity build, man. That is you. It's you do these runs and all that, right? You're dead fit, right? It's like that. It's like that. Utter discipline. You have to keep going, keep doing it, holding yourself to account, even when it feels like shit. Because even a lot of the time it will feel like shit. It's going to feel
yeah,
terrible.
yeah,
And you're making a decision where you actually might be really, you're going to have to let somebody go that you care about because it's
yeah,
really is who
yeah,
you are right now.
yeah.
That is my value and I can't fucking like abandon that. I can't betray this. I can't betray myself. So growth, real growth to me is really fucking sore. And
Yeah.
it's so worth it though, but it's not for the faint-hearted.
Wow. Wow.
Oh.
Oh, I love it. This is this is helping me massively. It's going to help people massively. I'm so glad we were able to explore some of this in depth.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's going to help. I think it's just going to give people, it's going to be like little pennies dropping down the little machine that you used to go to the shows where you drop them
Oh
in. I
yeah.
think they're all just dropping down. And,
Oh.
and if you get lucky, it's going to go down the right row and something might just come out the other side. Uh, ah. Right, so I realise that when we're
I
recording
know.
this will not be when people get to hear about. When we're recording this, Bayface will be starting to think about our dinner and getting our jammies on. So for anybody who listens to this and are like, right, one, I need to find this woman, I need to know what she's doing, I need to know what's coming up in 2026. What have you got coming up? What's the plans for the year? Where can people find you? Go for it.
So plans for the year are actually like there's massive change coming at the end of March, beginning of April. You'll see I'll be advertising in-person events, but more importantly, the sort of community space where there'll be online teachings and courses which is going to be under the new brand, the new heading of Break Free and Reconnect. So Mind Positive is time to go. Mind Positive is no longer the full picture. That's where I started from, and there is so much learnings from there, and it's served me incredibly well. I'm incredibly proud of where that started off from. But now, the methodology and the program that I'll be sharing with everybody will be called Break Free Reconnect, and it will be new brand. But yeah, there'll be courses, lots of courses advertised, and a new way of working. I will be reducing my one-to-one clients in order
Mm-hmm.
for me to be able to offer the more one-to-many. I really enjoy working one-to-many. I find it
Mm-hmm.
really, really satisfying and helpful, and it means that lots more people can access stuff that I'm talking about here. And I'm really excited for that. So that's one massive big change that's coming, and that will take up the rest of the year to get that sort of,
Yes.
out there. And then if you're looking for me, I'm on Facebook. I'm on, if you look up Mind Positive at the moment, that'll all be changing actually. At Mind Positive, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, and my current page at the moment is www.mindpositive.co.uk. So there you go.
So for anyone listening, watching this, I will make sure all Lorna's links are there. And I have no doubt that everyone's going to be, giving that a follow. I love the new direction. I love the evolution. I can't wait to
Yeah,
see it. I love what you do. I love who you are. I think it's just so refreshing just to cut out the bullshit, cut out the fluff, and just get right down to it. And I think this is what this is. This is the real work. And you know what? I love the one chime comment because I think see all that stuff. I think it's like you say, all of that, every single thing has its place.
absolutely.
Me getting an early bed tonight has its place.
Yeah,
Me having a decent morning routine has its place. Me putting my phone down at a decent place. Me going for some bread, everything. But me running away from clear decisions and
yeah,
clear accountability, as you describe, that is where the real
that's it.
fucking magic
It's really,
lies.
it's proper. It's proper. And that is where you become a really safe person to be around because you're not going to pull any punches in the end. You are who you say you are. You absolutely are
Yes.
there. And that there is utter safety in that. I
Yeah,
think.
I think you're right. So,
Brilliant.
Lorna, thank you so, so much for coming on. I really appreciate this. You've really created a beautiful conversation, and I'm so grateful that you've come onto my space to do that.
Well, thank you for having me. I've really, really enjoyed that. I'm glad it went the direction it did. I didn't know what you were going to do today. Like, if you put me in this spot, but I've thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed it. And thanks for getting me. I really appreciate that you do get me, and because that goes a long way. Because I know I'm not for everybody. I'm very aware of that, but for those I am, I really appreciate that. So thank you.
Yeah, you're doing shining a different light on things in the world, and
On mental health, aren't we? Like, I mean, I am talking about
oh
it. I am. I'm just talking
wow,
in a different sense.
yeah, brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you.